Alright everyone, to show how out of control the illegal crisis has become, a group of Venezuelan gang members wielding assault weapons has taken over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. Now, Aurora, why does that ring a bell? I remember that there was once a shooting at a theater in Aurora, and it was big in the news. It's interesting how the legacy media is ignoring multiple heavily armed individuals within this apartment complex and not saying that it's a major event. The police have effectively cleared out all the other residents in the complex, it seems. Basically evacuated people because this gang has taken over, and it's now theirs. At some point we might get a major escalatory event, actually. I expect that eventually law enforcement will be forced to act through legal pressure. And then you're going to end up with this apartment complex being covered in blood, probably. Either that or they'll just ignore the issue and say, well, it's forsaken. They can have the apartment complex sell their drugs and stuff like that. Venezuelan street gang. Very interesting. I thought the border was secure and all of that. I thought we had a sane immigration policy. The legacy media tells me that all the time. Under the Biden administration, the apprehensions at the border have fallen. Yeah, but the problem is because you're not trying to apprehend people. And then you end up with stuff like this. You end up with sanctuary cities bleeding out into the surrounding areas, and you end up with a big fucking problem. This is an example of that problem. A migrant street gang has literally taken control of an apartment complex. They've effectively turned it into their own little fortress. I would think that would be meaningful. If this had happened 20 years ago, people would be up in arms saying, what the fuck is going on? Now, some people are like, well, that's perfectly fine. It's alright that the pensioners and shit that were living in the apartment complex got forced out of their own homes because they couldn't even walk down the hallway and had to be escorted out by police because they were completely unsafe. I mean, there's video of this. Link in the description, archived, of course. You can go to the live page. There are video clips of this. And it's surreal. No sane nation allows this to happen. No sane government allows this to happen. But it's happening here, right in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened here in Rutland, considering the demographic change here that's going on at the moment. And it's fucking bullshit. These people are being paid by U.S. taxpayers and then intimidating them out of their own homes. The government is facilitating this. The police are, at the time, not doing anything about it. And this is not the only nation in which this sort of thing is happening. It's certainly happening in the UK. It's happening in Canada. You're not even allowed to talk about it in those nations. Then you get a knock on the door from the police. At least here we can bitch about it. I can speak my mind here in the United States about the fact that it is indeed a problem and that it's not appreciated and shouldn't be happening. In some other countries, you're not so lucky. You can't even speak out against it. It's fucking surreal. And this is in the middle of Colorado. By the way, wouldn't you want to choose, like, I mean, if you're Venezuelan, used to a tropical climate, why Colorado? Like the snowiest space you can possibly choose in the Rocky Mountains. I don't understand. I don't understand any of it at this point. It's become surrealism. It's like we've got an Art Nouveau government. Nothing needs to make sense. It's just all artsy-fartsy shit. I like Art Nouveau. I'm not a fan of having apartment complexes taken over by illegal aliens. It's just not necessary. Now fentanyl will be flowing out from there, I'm sure. And anyway, I don't have any problem with Venezuelans, to be clear. Because, I mean, if you are fleeing Venezuela, the hope is that you understand the evils of communism. The hope is, you've fled the country because of hyperinflation and all the other problems caused by the Chavez-Maduro regimes, and that you understand, hey, capitalism is better, and I should assimilate to this culture. I want to be an American. That's perfectly fine. These individuals are not exactly acting in the typical American fashion. Normally you don't walk around the apartment complex with your AR, or AK probably in their cases, and intimidate other people. You should leave them alone and go be productive. But the government right now under the Biden administration, and if the Harris administration begins, they'll do the same thing. Simply invites people over and then abandons them, basically. Well, you've got this structure you can live in. Here's a food card. Otherwise, we're not going to give you job training. We're not going to offer you any educational opportunities. We're not going to, try to teach you English or anything like that so that you can assimilate into the culture. It's perfectly fine to form your own little sub-block that everyone around you will hate, and make you a pariah so that you can never get a fucking job. That's basically what the Biden administration is doing. It invites people in and then doesn't expect them to assimilate at all. In fact, trying to assimilate U.S. culture more to like the Venezuelan government. If I was a Venezuelan, I wouldn't even bother coming to the United States unless I knew that sane leadership was going to be in there. Because otherwise it's just going to become the same socialistic mess that Venezuela was in the first place. So I'm like, well, I'm wiping my ass with currency and eating sawdust. Well, it's probably the same as the alternative anyway, so who gives a fucking shit? With the Biden inflation, I'm not going to be able to buy any real food anyway. I'm going to be surviving on ramen. Hey, ramen soup every single night. Hey, kids, come up to the dinner table. We're eating fine tonight. We've got a fine dining experience. Instead of the ramen, we got Campbell's. It's basically the U.S. economy in a nutshell at the moment. Now there's a battle over this apartment complex. People are up in arms, naturally, because, people have literally been forced to be escorted from their homes under guard because these Venezuelan illegals are wandering around in the hallways, raiding rooms and shit like that. This shouldn't be happening. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That's about all. Peace out.